In terms of the pause, the temporary pause on aid here, the testimony in the record, put aside what the House managers have said about their speculation, and they know what it's like to be denied aid. The testimony in the record is that this temporary pause was not significant. Ambassador Volker testified that the brief pause on releasing the aid was, quote unquote, not significant. And Undersecretary of State for Political Affairs David Hale explained that, quote, this was future assistance, not to keep the Army going now. So in other words, this isn't money that had to flow every month in order to fund current purchases or something like that. It was money, it's 5-year money. Once it's obligated, it's there for 5 years. And it usually takes quite a bit of time to spend all of it. So the idea somehow that during the couple of months in July, August, and up till September 11th, 55 to 48 days, depending on how you count it, that this was somehow denying critical assistance to the Ukrainians on the front lines right then. It's simply not true. And now the House managers have tried to pivot away from that because they know it's not true, and to say, no, it was the signal to the Russians. It was the signal of lack of support that the Russians would pick up on. But here again, it's critical. Even the Ukrainians didn't know that the aid had been paused.
The thing that I want to point out is I cannot believe that Chuck Schumer has invited Lev Parnas here. And so to have someone under indictment with an ankle bracelet coming here just goes to further show that this is a total political circus, a media circus, and a political hit job against the president.
We've talked about bad process from the House where they completely cut the president out for 71 of 78 days. We talked about how they selectively picked the witnesses they wanted and selectively leaked. We've seen the results of selective leaks even as late as this past week with the issues that we've seen before the Senate and the issues with Bolton. But then there's an interesting transition today, because today we're going to transition. We're going to transition into 16 hours of questions. We're now actually going to get to hear from the senators themselves on what they want to know and how they want to know it. But there is also an interesting point that maybe many of you have not picked up on, because Adam Schiff, who we believe is a fact witness and should have been called from day one, and to at least understand how he dealt with a whistleblower, now he's going to have to, for the first time, answer questions from a member of the Senate, because in the House he never had to. In fact, there was only 2 members, myself and Jamie Raskin, who had to answer those kind of questions, because Adam Schiff did not want to step forward and do what was right, and that was answer the question on how he influenced this whole investigation from the whistleblower perspective. So today, the story continues. The story continues in a new way, with the senators asking questions, but right now, the one thing that hasn't changed, the facts have never changed. The president did nothing wrong. The House team proved that, and we're going to see that continue today.
Justice.
Senator from Georgia.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Justice. I send a question to the desk for both the Counsel of the President and the House managers on behalf of Senator Cruz and myself.
Thank you. The question is, you refuse to answer the question on political bias. Are the House managers refusing to tell the Senate whether or not the so-called whistleblower had an actual conflict of interest? There are 7 billion people on planet Earth. Almost all had no involvement in Biden's quid pro quo. Are the House managers unwilling to say whether the so-called whistleblower was a fact witness who directly participated in and could face criminal or civil liability for Joe Biden's demanding Ukraine fire the prosecutor who was investigating Burisma? And why did you refuse to transmit to the Senate the Inspector General transcript?
We'll just point out that what the American people care about are the real things in real life, the things that are happening right now. They're ready for the Congress to move on and get back to work. We're glad that this trial is finally coming to an end. If you look at what's happening just in Washington today, the president just signed the USMCA and a big ceremony that will literally help every American in every district across the country. Last night he had a rally in New Jersey. He had over 158,000 tickets requested for President Trump's rally. We're told that there were a lot of Democrats involved in that rally as well. They want to show appreciation for this administration and what they've been able to accomplish for the country. We have to put this behind us. The defense was put on its case and rested. I think we did an exceptional job explaining that the law and the facts are on the side of the president, and it's time for the Senate to get past these questions phase and acquit the president. I think they will. We fully expect that, and we'll be able to get back to the work that Congress is really supposed to be involved in.
And I would go one step further to say, even if everything in Bolton's book happens to be true and everything he testifies to happens to be true if he happens to be called, I still do not believe that that rises to the level of the impeachable offenses that the House has charged the president with. We've heard 54 questions and answers so far today. At the rate we're going, we're probably going to hear about 160 total, so we're going to have an opportunity for all of our members to hear more information. But I am committed to go to the end of the day on Friday and cast a vote to say I'm ready to go to final judgment. I don't see a need for any additional witnesses. America has heard enough. Most people don't realize that under this system, the Senate can do no other work until we are through with impeachment, which means working on the cost of drugs, working on the highway bill, working on many of the priorities of the American people. So a majority of Americans today are saying this is a waste of time because they know that the president is not going to be removed, and they know that this is an election year, and they say you have more important things to do actually to advance the country than what we're doing by sitting here in a trial of impeachment.